Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! There was one. Doing this channel is fun. And there was this one commenter. I forgot the guy's name, or the person's name, I should say. But he kind of laughed at me, saying, "You do every team's picks," and I'm like, "Yeah, I do." Because the point of this channel, honestly, is to give as best as I can. A one-man, me. Every NFL team a chance to shine. There are 32 teams. And for those videos that can make all 32 teams a video that's under an hour, I applaud them. But I kind of want to give all the players that each team draft a chance to shine. Even if it's like a 30-second-a-minute segment, that's still, over time. So the point of this whole channel initially was something I kind of want the professionals to do. I want them to talk about every NFL team in a national spotlight and not just focus on the same 4 or 5 teams every single segment. So that's what I do. And sometimes you just get offered a bone. And ladies and gentlemen, hey everybody, I'm Cortez and I'm a critic. And we are continuing the NFC West draft of 2025. And we're talking about the Los Angeles Rams. And the reason why I'm kind of psyching out is that they got 6 picks. It's so small. It's so small. And it makes it easier. Because the next video is Seattle. They have 11. And those videos are always my longest. To edit, to upload, to render, to everything. So that's a little sneak peek behind my psyche. And not to mention what else I do outside of this channel. All legal, by the way, all legal. So, let's talk about the Los Angeles Rams and their beautiful 6 picks of the 2025 NFL Draft. Rams, a team that I think a lot of us were really surprised on how much they did with the rookies they did. And, Matthew Stafford, which I think a lot of us are wondering whether he's going to retire or not because of the back injury. And he basically already had a gold jacket for the Hall of Fame. So it was like, what more do you want? You got a ring, you got a gold jacket. You did it. You were probably one of the great Georgia quarterbacks in history that make it to the NFL and then some. So you did it. No more. End of story. But he's coming back for another one. And, well, can't blame the guy. They did Luke Cooper. He did go to Seattle, so basically went to the next door neighbor. And Puka Nacua still proving that he was worth the pick, a few years ago, and still showing his worth. And in a weird way, the Rams became a run-first offense with 2 Florida State defensive tackles sacking people. So to me, this feels perfect for the Los Angeles Rams. And they kind of felt like, we kind of don't need anybody. But if you're going to twist our arm, they even traded away, they traded their pick, I think it was to the Falcons in the first round, which the Falcons did get another defensive end for the SEC. So that's a nightmare for the Saints, Panthers, and Bucks. But they said, sure, why not? And their first pick of the draft was in the 2nd round. And with the 46th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Rams selected Terrence Ferguson, tight end, Oregon. This is a gentleman that I paid attention to when he was in Oregon. This is a gentleman that I kind of felt like he was nothing more than just a thick receiver. Ferguson is the backyard guy when you play backyard football in neighborhoods, when people had neighborhoods and backyards, where he was always the biggest kid of the group, and that was Ferguson. Ferguson is the big guy of the group of others, where he developed at 10 to 6'3", where everyone else is still going through the normal puberty route of 5-0. So that is Ferguson to me for the Rams. And let's be real, Higbee is still effective. But in today's NFL, sometimes a 2 tight end set does help out, especially if they're athletic tight ends. It kind of really makes you feel a little bit, because I believe Ferguson is meant to be a receiving tight end, very much to Higbee, but just gives them that notion of, you think we're going to run the ball with a 2 tight end set? Psych! We're going to throw a seam pass to Ferguson down the line for a 60-yard touchdown strike. That's what we believe he's going to be. And I think what Ferguson brings, and the kind of feel like the Rams was like, maybe we'll get Ferguson, maybe we won't. Maybe. And I don't know the draft board of the Rams, but I want to know how high Ferguson was on their list. If Ferguson was not in the top 10 and they was like number 11, I'd be like, yeah, the Rams really did not have to fight and claw the way to get them. And I feel like they're like, we're good with our young players. Every young player besides our quarterback developed and proved well. So we're good. We're good. We know the NFC West is going to be tough, but we're good. And getting Ferguson late, I don't know how high Ferguson was viewed by others, but this just feels like, and the Rams get another jet. Remember, Puka was a 5th round pick, guy. Let's remember that. And he broke records. So Ferguson, it makes that middle of the field just as dangerous as the perimeter side. Then we go to the 3rd round with the 90th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. The Los Angeles Rams selected Josiah Stewart, edge, Michigan. Okay, so run a 3-4 defense, obviously makes sense. We all know that Byron Young was wonderfully viewed. We all know that Jared Verse proved his worth. And we all know that Fisk, the other Florida State guy, was just as dynamic as we all thought he was going to be. So, where do we have Stewart currently? Well, currently they still have Stewart as a strong side linebacker, probably as rotation for Jared. Okay. Young pass rushers, young fresh legs. We all saw what Steve Spagnuolo did with the Giants he basically had a scheme where basically he had 4 defensive linemen, but they all were defensive ends. He was there with Michael Strahan, Osam Uwanyura, and Justin Tuck as them. And he would put them all on the field at the same time. That's what he did. That's why Steve Spagnuolo is one of those guys that's like, he is clearly a defensive genius, because what he did, what he's been doing with the Chiefs, he's still there. He's still developing scheme when we all know that he probably got a phone call almost every year, especially the year they won the Super Bowls, of him being viewed as head coach. He probably wanted to be and probably could have been, but he said, nah, I'm good. And I think he actually was. It just didn't work out for him. And sometimes, like one good New Orleans Saints broadcaster says, sometimes you're a good lieutenant. You're not a good general. And sometimes that happens. We all seen that a lot of coaches that don't work as head, but they work better as offense or defensive coordinator, and we've seen that time and time again. But sometimes, especially offensive coordinator, they get those 2nd, 3rd, and 4th chance, thinking this is the time. It's like, no, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. So seeing Stewart getting here, rotation for Verse, and it's Michigan. Michigan's defense was the reason Michigan had any chance last year. I feel like the quarterback thing in Michigan was bleh, and that's being polite. But Michigan's defense, just watch the Alabama bowl game and the Ohio State game. That was clearly defense. That was the defense. That was Michigan's identity. And then going to a Rams team that has a defense identity to go with a very competent and sometimes superior offense, dangerous. And the Rams' 2 first picks are like, yeah, they're going to make noises. Like, right away. And we didn't have to rush together. That's how dangerous they are. That's how weirdly mental they are. They get players that are diamonds. They just gotta polish it. And then we're like, man, how come they're good? I'm like, the Rams knew all along. The Rams always knew they were good. Then we go to the 4th round with the 117th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. The Los Angeles Rams selected Jarquez Hunter, running back, Auburn. Okay, I'll bite. How many of us, when we think of Auburn, who's the first players we think of? And if it's Cam Newton, obviously. I think of Jason Campbell. I think of Cadillac Williams. I think of Ronnie Brown. I think of Bo Nix at the time when he was in Auburn. I went to school in the South, mainly the south of Georgia. And let's just say that Alabama was just as much of a conversation as it was for Bulldog fans. It was Auburn, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, and then that one douchebag who voted for Florida, which we all kicked him to the curb for some reason, even though I was from Florida, but I never let him know that because I didn't want to get attacked by a Bulldog and a Crimson Tide. Definitely not a Tiger. So, okay. So, how do I say this nicely? I thought Kyren Williams was far superior than he was given credit for, except for the Snow Bowl game that cost him because of the fumbles in the playoffs. I don't blame it on him, but it's weather that just plays a very weird trick on us all. Blake Corum is still there from Michigan, which is kind of nice that he's still there, and he's number 2. And after that, it comes to Hunter. So Hunter's already projected to be a 3rd guy. So, I don't know. This feels more like depth, something intangibles. Let me see. Do they have him? No, sometimes I wonder they pick other players to be special team, like returners. But I don't see him there. As a matter of fact, I see both Williams and Corum as the 2nd guy for punt and kickoff return. So we'll see where they put him. But Hunter could just be another running back to just keep the rushing attack going forward. You know, maybe Hunter offers something that's intangible to them, but I really feel like that Kyren Williams was very much a bell cow running back, even though he probably didn't get the attention he deserved, and I'll admit that in my point too. But to me, I don't know. The Hunter pick just feels like, okay, I'm going to trust McVay because McVay, you got to trust the Rams. And as long as Puka keeps playing at a high level, we're going to be like, I trust when they draft offensive players. I trust them. The Hunter one just feels a little bit like, okay, I'm trying to see what you see, but you've been striking gold more than I have, so I'll let you work. Going to the 5th round with the 148th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Rams selected Ty Hamilton, defensive tackle, Ohio State. Is that right? Did I do that? Okay. Sometimes I put the abbreviation, and sometimes I want to make sure I did it right, because sometimes when you think of USC, you think of Southern California. You don't think of South Carolina, even though the abbreviation is the same. So sometimes I gotta make sure my notes match what I'm thinking. So so last year you doubled up with 2 defensive linemen or 2 defensive line player in Verse and Fisk. Okay, and then here you're doubling up with a Michigan and Ohio State. What is up with teams drafting rivals to join forces? Another one. Thank you, DJ. Another one when it comes to a Buckeye and a Wolverine joining forces to team up with 2 Seminoles of Florida State. Like I said, I really feel like the Rams are trying to become the defensive force of the NFC. And it's kind of weird because the Niners are trying to do the exact same thing and same with other teams. But right now, I feel like the 2 strongest defensive core of players are in the West in the NFC, and that's the Rams and the 49ers. So, and Ty is being viewed as a 2nd guy behind Fisk and the left defensive end of the 3-4 defense. So already he's being viewed as a potential rotation player. So it's a little bit abusive. You're getting quality players late. And like I said, it just feels like there must be something that these scouts are evaluating when it comes to these players. It just feels like, man, these guys just feel like they're going to fit perfectly into our scheme. And I really feel like a lot of these picks, they weren't rushing to get. They were just like, we'll make a move here, we'll make a move there. And then we will, we'll wait and see. Yeah, sure, Atlanta, take our 1st round pick. Sure, whatever. Sure, we'll take this guy. He looks good. This feels very much like, why not? Why not? And you're getting 2 young players who could potentially become a tandem for the next 10 years in the league. And when Stafford calls it a career, which we all know he will eventually, it's going to get to the point where the Rams will probably be known for their defense more than their offense. Let's be real. That's probably what's in the future for the Rams. So that's how I'm viewing it anyway. Then, still in the 5th round, with the 172nd pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Rams select Chris Paul Jr., linebacker, Ole Miss, Mississippi. Okay. How do you guys feel about the middle linebacker of the Rams? To my Ram fans out there. I really feel like then when Wagner went back to Seattle and now he's a Commander, kind of felt like that middle linebacking was kind of like not as strong as it was when Wagner was there. Even though it was for 1 year, but Wagner made his point known, and he is currently playing to the NFL to this day. So he proved what he's worth and then some. So Chris Paul Jr., they have him as the left inside linebacker behind Troy Reeder. So, okay, we'll see what happens. But if I can say the Rams' weakness on defense, will probably be the middle. I feel like their line and exterior are good. Their secondary is full of young, talented players that are just waiting to be ball hawks. So in my humblest opinion, if I had to say like a weakness and like a B- level type of weakness, not like a D- level, I will probably say the middle linebacker side of the Rams probably feels a little bit not as splashy or as impactful as probably others. But then again, when you're a guy sacking quarterback, kind of makes everyone else's job easier. So possibly you can see it like that. So to me, Chris Paul Jr. being put in there, he's currently viewed as a backup for the left side. It's a 3-4 defense, so definitely need to double up on middle linebacker. Do I see Chris Paul in? Let me take a quick look at him. Let me take a little tangible on him. 6'1", 235, kind of light, kind of light for a middle linebacker. Usually I see the linebacker need to be more like 250, 245, right out of college, possibly a little thicker. So for all I know, he could be viewed as, I'm gonna probably say he's probably viewed more as a cover linebacker. Maybe utilized more as a cover linebacker. His job is to mainly become going based on the height and the weight. That maybe he's a lot lighter, so therefore like quicker on his feet. So probably used more for stopping those, check downs and inseam type passes in the middle of the field for the defense. That's where I feel like he's probably where he's go. He's probably where he's gonna be his cornerstone. I could be completely wrong. He could just be a run supporter all the way. But like I said, I'm just going based on intangibles and as much knowledge I can get in a one-person crew. So to me, Chris Paul is a cover linebacker, but definitely get rotation sides automatically. He probably gets some playing time in the first 4 weeks, obviously. And then in the 7th round, the last pick with the 242nd pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Rams selected Konata Mumfield, wide receiver, Pittsburgh. Okay. They got Devontae Adams. They got Puka. Atwell, I think, showed a lot of promise, which I feel like made it easier for the Cooper thing to happen. And then after that, the receiving core is filled with potential. I feel like those 3 receivers I just mentioned proved themselves worse, so I think the 4th, 5th, and 6th slot are open for business. I mean, I'm looking at the wide receiver core right now, and no one really leaps out to me that says, that's the guy. And they currently have Mumfield as, number 2, behind Devontae Adams. Wow. 6'1", 185. Kind of an average, maybe slightly undersized in weight and height. Maybe he's more of a quick slant speed style guy, that he's more quick on the open space than he is getting down the field. Maybe he's the kind of guy that says, I'll go across the middle and not get decapitated. I'm that kind of guy. So every player that the Rams have drafted have been projected, according to ESPN.com NFL mock draft, have been either been viewed as a second player or a starter. Except for maybe Hunter. He's viewed as third, but running back by committee is more acceptable than most. So every pick the Rams got has been, they're going to play week 1 at least as early. That's how early they could play. God forbid injuries, they're probably going to get a snap or 2 in the regular season week 1, or definitely in the first 3 weeks. Don't be surprised if you see that. And some of them could be not special teams contributors. I'm talking about in the scheme system when the series calls for it. That's how I feel a lot of these players are going to do. So that's how I'm looking at it. Grade for the Rams. I did not consider them contenders because the Stafford thing really bugged me with his back injury. Because of the Ram defense and because of the player they got here, including some of the young defensive players that are coming in, I'm going to say Rams are contenders. This young core of players to go with the young player they got the year before. And as long as Stafford plays healthy, and I feel like they're going to probably run more than pass, so Devontae and Puka, hopefully your stats won't go too far down. Rams are contenders to me, but I believe the NFC West is going to be a lot more competitive than it was in the past. That a 10-win season may not win you the division this year. You might need at least 12 wins to win the division this year. That's how I'm feeling, but we'll find out when I do my review for after preseason. When I do my season preview picks. The player that I'm most excited to see, to watch, I'm going to give it to Ferguson, the tight end. One, I believe the Rams did not fight to get him. I feel like he just kind of landed in their lap. And I see him play before in college, and I believe he's just a thick receiver. I feel like this is probably a guy that probably could have been a receiver if he just, stopped bulking up. Ferguson is currently, he's 6'5", 255. I'm sorry, a 6'5", 255, a 250-pound tight end? That's kind of light. Most tight ends are almost, 270. So that's why I say he's 6'5", so he's huge. So I'm going to say that's why I think Ferguson's going to be the guy. And especially those jump balls in the middle of the field. Oh, yeah. Watch it. Watch what he can do. So that's the Los Angeles Rams. We have one more team to go. And that's the Seattle Seahawks. They're known as the 12th man. They got 11 picks. 11 picks. They literally got a full one side of the football roster. They got new players. They let go of old players. A whole Seattle identity is being reforged. So, yeah, we'll talk about them last in the NFC West. So until next time, I'm Cortez, and I'm a critic. Thank you so very much for watching.